Congratulations to Turkey, the under-21 Turkish national team being the European under-21 European Championship winner for the year 2021. In this video, we're just going to quickly look at the tactic that they played as their main tactic, see what was it hyper effective against, and also how it was like a tactic where it struggled from a different game. So taking you to the semi-final, this was Turkey against Sweden. We are looking, so this is the game where the Turkish tactic worked rather well against the Swedish tactic. So we're looking at the Turkish tactic right now. We can see flat five across the back. We can see that the defensive line is extremely high, probably right on the line that differentiates between the defense and midfield. We've got two defensive midfielders. One, I'm going to say, he looks like more like a central midfielder, so his role is going to be intercepting opposition goal kicks primarily. And then we've got number 1, Sentinel, and number 89, Can Yumlu, who are going to provide the bulk of the attack and the goals. It looks kind of like it might be a short passing strategy, but it's actually a wing strategy. So the idea, what we're going to see Sweden with their dual winger setup. So the idea is when the wingbacks intercept the ball, the wingbacks are actually going to dribble the ball down the field rather than dribble the ball in and then pass. And what this means is that you're going to gain more territory. So if you like, it's sort of, the analogy I like is in American football where if you make a pass forward, it's risky, but you might get a better result versus running the ball, where in American football, you have less gain, but there's less risk. In Managerzone, we've kind of got that logic because passing is only like 40 to 55% typically. So generally speaking, if your players can run the ball forward, you want to run the ball forward. So we've got the dual wingers by Sweden. Their back five was slightly further back. They've also set up a back five against a very centralized attack, which you could argue is a waste of a few of these players, these wider players. And then obviously they've got their lone striker set up. So they've got a wing strategy with just the 3 attacking players versus Turkey, who have 2. Now, I haven't actually watched this game. I'm just anticipating. So almost first goal. Well, first opportunity to score. There we had the wingback running it forward. This is the risk, though. The wingback will be out of position. So they're relying on the next defender in. So the left centre-back to come across and help cover. So Sweden with an early corner. Turkey's, I would expect, will primarily score from defenders being sucked up the ground through the middle. So we have another shot on goal there for Sweden. So defensive midfielder to the central midfielder, but they don't find it. The other thing about selecting wing play rather than short passing is players will generally just run with the ball more often. So we've got a centre-back bringing it up, passing to one of the strikers, who managed to get through on goal there. So with the 2 strikers being positioned sort of diagonally, we expect the central defender, like at the moment, this tactic is working because the central defender is trying to mark 3 players, basically. So we can see here, there's a massive hole in the middle of a gap, in the middle of the defense. We might actually go back and just highlight this. So here we've got a situation where Skrader is he's initially started out on Sentinel at the top of his screen. He's seen Bikan basically bring the ball up the middle. He's actually the central defender for Turkey. Now, this is one of the flaws. Sweden actually picked normal pressing rather than committed. But this is one of the flaws in the simulator because the two other central defenders just do not see the fact there's three central Turkish players. So what happens is Skradere obviously can't cover three people. Blomberg realizes that Can Yumlu is through on goal after he's received the pass. So after the pass is received, the defenders will react then. But obviously at that point it was too late and Turkey got the first goal of the game. So there's a rare occurrence, which is a throw-in. One of the benefits of dual wingers is sometimes we get a result like that where the pass is inaccurate to the more inside winger, but it ends up with the outside winger. So here we've got their central defender actually starting that attack for Sweden. Didn't turn into anything. This is not the second goal. I did take a look. I did cheat and see when the goals were scored. But as the game basically settles down, Turkey is going to get on top primarily. So Sweden's only attacking players are on that wing, right? Like you can't play 1-on-3, which is basically it's 1-on-3 best case scenario if the ball goes anywhere other than on that wing for Sweden. The fact they're going up against a five-man defense. So you can see the two defenders are both converging on the winger. After the wingers receive the pass, by a manager zone, typically you still have time for your two wing defenders to converge. Unlike what just happened with short passing, where the ball is going to be in the middle. So we can see here, this center defender, so he's positioned centrally, right? Like he's the left center back. Just does not see Sentinel at all. This time, Blomberg is a little bit more in position, and that's because the ball is coming from the Turkish left or the Swedish right. So it's intercepted by the central defender. The ball is re-intercepted by the Turkish, one of their defensive midfielders. At this point, Bruce, who is the defender who should really be responsible for marking Sentinel, realizes after the fact that he's actually through on goal, tries to run him down. So I would wager the Turkish strikers were actually quite quick, potentially having 10 speed, because they've run away from the Swedish players twice. We will just bring up the stats at the end of the game so you can see it finished 3-1. There are a couple of goals at the end. But you will see here, so Sweden, 6 shots on target. Probably 3 of those were in the first 20 or so minutes. Once the game settled down, Turkey really got on top. And the main reason for that would be because the Swedish couldn't get anything going on the one wing, their one attacking route. Whereas Turkey, it didn't really matter if they intercepted the ball in the middle of the pitch on that wing that the Swedish were attacking down. Because their attack was central, it didn't really matter altogether that much. Anyway, that was Turkey-Sweden, which was the semi-final. Okay, so this is the second game we're going to look at. It is Romania-Turkey, and this is actually the final of the Under-21 European Championship. You can see again Turkey going right down the middle. Same strategy as against Sweden. But we have Romania basically pretty much a copy tactic. The Romanian defensive line was slightly lower, but not massively so as compared. And what they've actually done is put their wing backs a little bit further up, and the reason for this is often you will find wing backs actually play strikers on, because central defenders tend to mark players. If a central defender marks a player and the player goes down away from the goal, the central defender will follow and then the wing defender will sort of stay on his line, so to speak, and that creates a hole in the defense. But Romania it's basically the same strategy. Just Romania's lineup was a little bit more, I guess, balanced, whereas Turkey, you've got number 1 and number 2 a little bit offset from each other. Anyway, we're going to watch the first 30 minutes or so. Both teams, I believe, were playing wing. Not that that's going to matter because the wing defenders will not be... I don't expect any of the wing defenders to get the ball because both teams are attacking down the middle. So essentially what Romania and Turkey are both saying is that they both seem to believe that if they play the game straight up that they're going to win the game, essentially. Which is fair enough because they're both, in Managerzone terms, quite large nations with and presumably quite high quality players. So that's the first chance. It was from a free kick. Free kicks, they're kind of a bit of a lottery. You can't really plan anything in Managerzone for free kicks, so hopefully that changes one day. But you can see here, so basically this game, because all the players are in the middle, and that forces there to be much more passing, which means we're seeing a lot more intercepts, we're seeing less shots on goal, the game is generally less... dynamic's not quite the right word. Direct. So players are passing backwards because they're seeing a lot of players ahead of them just being marked. There's a player being marked and the ball being lost as a result. So that could almost have been a card there, not given. So Romania, because they've got their 3 attacking players as opposed to Turkey with just 2, I would expect Romania to have a slight edge, which seems to be playing out just because they've got 1 extra passing option in attack versus Turkey, whose central midfielder is more defensive, I would say, trying to trap the ball in the front half. So there's the goal. First goal of the game to Romania. You would notice that, so the shot was taken and then a second player managed to get there. Now, red card. This is the risk with running a really, really high line, and this basically turns the game. So Romania loses one of their attacking players. They sub on a defender so that they can maintain their 5 at the back. But this is something that in Managerzone, it's kind of like you pick the right strategy, which is almost always to play a really high line, but you get punished for it anyway. This is the main downside to playing the strategy that both teams are playing with. It's just that Romania were unlucky because they happened to be the team where there was a foul and there was a straight red card. There was a potential card incident earlier that could have applied to Turkey, but they did not pick up a card. So PI, sometimes play intelligence, can come into this. Players with higher PI tend not to pick up so many cards. But this is basically the turning point in the game. From this point onwards, Turkey with the extra man end up dominating the game quite easily. And we'll just look at the statistics. So they've got 19 shots on goal to just 10. Although, like in the early stages, you would have to say Romania was definitely on top. And if I click this, I've got a browser extension, so I press this R button, and it tells us what the strategy was. So we can see here that Romania was playing short pass, which when you're going central in this situation, it's better to go... If you have a team go central, it's better that you go short pass rather than wings, typically. But if you go against wings, you want to go wings as well. So there actually, no team had aggressive on defense, so that was a normal pressing and normal mentality. Looks like Romania switched their strategy after the 63rd minute. Not 100% sure why. But you can see Turkey, it took all the way to the last... So this player is actually subbed on at the last minute of regulation. So he would have been fresh. And he ended up scoring the goal that won Turkey the European Championship. Anyway, that'll do it for our brief review of Turkey's tactics, the winning tactic in the European Championship for the Under-21 European Championship for 2021.